Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everyone? This week we are covering Module 6 and we are covering public opinion. And as always, I've got some links to some musical interludes for you all to begin your class with. Please check these out. I, of course, will enter the links in the YouTube information box below. So, after this lesson, you should have a better understanding of the role of public opinion in a democracy. What are our opinions? Do we think like the ideal citizen? Where do our opinions come from? And how public opinion can be measured. So, what is public opinion? According to VOK, public opinion are those opinions held by private persons that the government finds it prudent to heed. Public opinion facilitates representation and participation. It compels government leaders to pay attention when citizens express their views freely. Okay? So this is about less so the opinion of individual people, but rather a collective read, right, on something, right? As much as possible to take a sample of the population to do an extrapolation from that sample to get a sense of what's happening across the nation. Okay, so by this theory, public opinion's about when the government is like, all right, well, the population's saying X, right, we ought to react or do something. Okay, so for example, we can look to public opinion in places where there are surveys conducted and held. So one place we could go to is the Pew Research Center, right, which is where I captured these survey results here. So this is highlighting, right, the one here on the left, wide racial, ethnic, and partisan gaps in support for Black Lives Matter. So we can see here the way that this is split up. Okay, so it says the percent saying that they blank the Black Lives Matter movement. So they either strongly support or somewhat support. Okay, so it's measured here in the top by all adults, and then it's broken up here, broken up by race, by age group, by educational attainment, right, and by party or party leaning, right? So we can see here at the very top, there's a 55% measure here on either people who strongly support or somewhat support Black Lives Matter. When it's broken down by race, we can see that the group that supports Black Lives Matter the most are Black people here, with 58% strongly supporting and 25% somewhat supporting. Here's the net measure. Okay, that's followed by support by Asians, then Hispanics, then whites here, a little bit less than 50%, 47%. So we can look at the support based on age. Right, we can see here it looks like that younger folks that are measured here between 18 and 29 most supported at 67. Okay, followed in order based on age group as it goes up, 30 to 49, right, 50 to 64, and 65 plus. Okay, and based on education, it seems like the more education one has, right, the more likely they are to support it. Okay, and then also we see party leanings here. So Republican leaning here, right, at 19, and then Democratic leaning here at 85. Right? Okay, so this gives us a read, same as we see here on the right. Support for Black Lives Matter is unchanged from a year ago. Okay, so really highlighting over a period of time. Looks measured from the bottom here from August 17 to September 21. We can see here that's noted that they had a different kind of survey use here, but we still see the numbers consistent here from the left. Looking at those who support at 55, and it looks like ultimately they stayed at 55 between 17 and 21. Right? We see here starting at 34 and a growth to 42. Right, so that this 42% strongly opposing Black Lives Matter, okay, over this period of time. So this is just one of many examples. I recommend that you check out the Pew Research Center to look at some of their surveys and articles about them, right? but to consider the ways in which these surveys act as a kind of like a temperature reading, right? A check. And then you ask yourself whether or not the government responds to public opinion, right? If so, how? Does it act like it responds? Does it actually respond? How is that based, how does that vary based on different kinds of scenarios and so forth? But this is an example that is relatively recent for folks' minds to consider that last summer we saw Black Lives Matter protests as a large continuation of a social movement and organizing at its peak in summer of 2020. So public opinion here. So do you agree with this view of public opinion? So let's just look at the example here on the left. It says, so who are you voting for? Right? These folks discussing, and they're followed here by cameras, microphones, right? As though this is an example of public opinion, or at least or of the media trying to capture measures of public opinion. Okay, so the role of public opinion in a democracy, right? So if it's a democracy and it's about representing people, where does public opinion come in? So we can look to why public opinion should matter in a democracy. Well, the government's legitimacy rests on the idea that the government exists to serve the interests of its citizens, right? Like in the social contract, right? That folks, they commit to participating in this system based on what they're going to give in, right? And what they're going to receive out of it. And that part of that contract here and within the lens, through the lens of democracy, is about participation, right? And being responsive to the public.